नमस्ते दोस्तों, भारत स्पीक्स विद टीम न्यूज़ और मैं हूं आपका होस्ट अमित भाटिया। आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है। आज का जो ये एपिसोड है, ये थोड़ा-सा डिफरेंट होने वाला है। सो टू बिगिन विद, आई विल टॉक अबाउट दिस रीसेंट पॉडकास्ट ऑन द रणवीर शो। बियर बाइसेप्स के नाम से उनका चैनल है एंड इट्स अ रियली पॉपुलर वन एंड रणवीर इज़ डूइंग रणवीर अलाहाबादी, I would say, is doing a fantastic job connecting Gen Y and Z. So I really admire him for that. So I just watched his recent interaction with Palki Sharma, who's definitely one of the really good journalists we have, and there aren't too many of them at this moment. The way she has taken up China and India's perspective on international scene, I think that is really admirable and formidable. So before we move on, let's hear this segment from this particular episode I'm talking about, to which I would like to put across my reaction once we come back.
I know your brand image is associated with being India first. Uh, but there will be a lot of people who actually categorize you as pro Modi and then put you on an extreme right just because you're India first. Like if you don't say that, oh, the country is going to the dogs, then you're a pro Modi and a right wing person. So I know you think of this. What do you think of it, Palki Sharma Upadhyay?
Well, I have so much to say about this. I don't know where to start, but yes, people do categorize you, people do label you. We are in a world where people are always boxed into these different segments, whether or not they think they belong there. Um, and the people who do it are entitled to their opinion. That's fine. Initially, it used to bother me. And I thought that I have to clear the air and say that, okay, I may agree with X person's policy on such and such thing, but that does not mean I'm a cheerleader for that person or that government or whatever. But over the years, I've realized that, and there are two parts to this. One, most of this opinion flows from Twitter. How big is Twitter in India? We are a country of 1.4 billion people, 140 crores. So there's just a handful of people who get disproportionate representation in the opinion making space and think that what they are saying is what the country is
All
thinking.
right, so when I heard this, I felt Palki ji, with all due respect to her, is somewhat underestimating the power of Twitter in setting up the narrative. And I don't blame her for that or thinking that way, because her perspective is coming from the perspective of a top professional journalist or anchor, as we call, which is very similar to how a professional Michelin star chef would underrate the culinary skills of an Amritsari kulchewala. Even though kulchewala would have perhaps more diehard fans at the ground level of the society. Uh, so, what she's essentially saying is probably true till 2 years ago, that social media, or rather Twitter, has a limited reach. But you'll ask me what changed in last 2 years. I mean, a lot has happened other than perhaps COVID, Russia, Ukraine war, and Great Recession, and farmer protests, and this and that and whatnot. But none of them had any impact on power of social media except Twitter Spaces. And that's where I come from, because we have taken up this journey for last 2 years as Twitter Spaces host, and that's why it's really close to my heart and my team's heart, which is Team News Hour. So, for those of you who don't know about Twitter Spaces or haven't heard of it, uh, let me introduce you to this world. Twitter Spaces as a medium is slightly different than YouTube or TV, as it's basically a virtual talk room and voice only platform. And it's open to everyone on Twitter. So basically, if it's open to everyone on Twitter, it's open to everyone with a smartphone essentially and having a Twitter app. Here we can pick up 10 persons at a time to interact with you. I mean, there are 10 mic options. So the moderators can bring up to 10 people to speak with each other. And there, I mean, you can have as many listeners as possible in the audience. The most important USP of this medium is that traditional media and even YouTube largely offers one-way communication. The narrative goes, I mean, if you look at a pyramid structure, the narration goes from the top to bottom, where top is possibly our government, and then you have got the mainstream media, and then you have got the uh, social media, as in YouTube, where you have the influencers, and yes, they talk to people, but again, see, they get response through chat. But again, I mean, it's still, you do not get to interact directly, and somewhere that tone is missing. And yeah, so here, that is not an issue. It's a purely two-way communication, and that is what makes it different. So the narrative goes from bottom to top. So essentially, it's a live podcast with audience engagement, and I'm sure that would certainly entice you, especially Ranveer. So I hope you are watching it, Ranveer. I would love you to watch it, and as well as Palki ma'am. Brief background on what we do. I mean, how we are engaged with the Twitter Spaces. So we casually started our journey in the world of Twitter Spaces and got together with like-minded people to volunteer ourselves uh, for the cause of utilizing this particular medium to facilitate a simple, meaningful, rational discussion among all the participants. And we host daily spaces on Twitter with the name of Team News Hour, covering politics, current affairs, defense, social news, or these kinds of topics, history, and try to keep things honest, simple, rational, mature. And this is what gave us a great response and inspiration as well. In this journey, we have been hosting a very, very special show called Soldier Speaks, where civilians like us get to know our veterans and their inspiring stories and experiences from our soldiers from the army, navy, air force, police, paramilitary, all streams, even space. I mean, we have got the legend, India's first astronaut, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, on our show Soldier Speaks last year. And I mean, it was very, very fascinating to interact with him. uh, the kids interacted with him, so I mean, that was a very special moment because he's very rare on the social media. uh, and then you have got Lieutenant General Lata Hasnain, family members of Paramveer Chakra, uh, Captain Vikram Batra, his brother Vishal ji came along with his sister Nutan ji. And then apart from that, family members of Major Mohit Sharma, who's such a brave heart and an inspiring story, with Madhur Sharma, his brother. So that was also a special one. We have Piyush Sharma ji, who's a brother of Colonel Ashutosh Sharma, who was martyred in Jammu Kashmir. Very, very special army officer. And we also got Paramveer Chakra honorary captain Yogendra Singh Yadav ji. Apart from that, I mean, we also get people from the civil society who are really contributing in the society, and that includes Advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain, whom I really admire. I mean, he's the one who's really driving this uh, movement of claiming the Hindu temples. Professor Kapil Kumar, M.R. Venkatesh, Aditya Rajkal, Lalit Ambarda, Ramneek Manji, and Anuj Dhar ji also came to our show once. So, and I mean, it's not only about the Team News Hour. There are so many other wonderful space hosts who are also doing fabulous and inspiring work on spaces, like my partners, Indian Diva ji, Shivani ji, Rajinder Rana ji, Sanchit Samar from Team Storm Chasers. He does brilliant work as well. I must congratulate them also. And there is Adit, there is Rajinder Gupta ji, who runs fantastic spaces and are really popular. There's Crystal Clear, and phenomenal people. I mean, who are there, and I've missed a lot many, and I apologize to them for missing. out their names, but yes, these are the ones who are right now top of my mind. And I mean, they are doing it for no return. I mean, no return of investment. There is it's a zero profit. It's a voluntary effort. You cannot earn a penny of it out of it, and that is all for the genuine love and commitment towards our nation. There's nothing else. Now, just to give you a quantified perspective, as per Twitter's audit in January 22, the number of Twitter users stood at 23.6 million in India. And that's around the time when we started our Twitter Spaces journey, which must be roughly 1.7% of India's total population of 1.4 billion. So, पालकी जी आप ठीक कह रही हैं. I think as such, it's just 1.5% people who are there on Twitter and and then further on, there is probably not even 5% of those Twitter users who are aware of Twitter Spaces itself as a platform that exists. But to address that, I mean, which is an insignificant number, I understand, I agree with you on that. But to address that, what if we try and increase that number to, let's say, 10%? Would that be significant enough? I say yes, it could be. So that's the task I have personally taken up, to bring maximum number of Indians on Twitter Spaces by 2024 elections, which means that each person has an option to speak out their voice in a rational manner. It could be rational manner. I mean, it's up to people, but you have those people who are doing a good work, and there are people who, I mean, and those people who genuinely wants to uh, engage in positive things. I think they will find it as a very good medium. And that's where I also seek support of YouTube stars like yourself, Ranveer, and interact with us, join us on our space platform, but also at the same time do recognize and tell about Twitter Spaces to your audience. I mean, and this is my request to the whole YouTubers community, because there are lots of people on YouTube who come to the Twitter Spaces, and we really welcome them, and we enjoy interacting with them. We it's a great platform for YouTubers to come. At the same time, I think YouTubers, the YouTube hosts, I would expect that yes, you also recognize, maybe invite few Twitter Space hosts or who are doing phenomenal work on Twitter Spaces, and try to connect those with the audience that you have also. So that would be, I mean, that would be really a win-win for all of us. And other than that, I think I really enjoyed this episode of yours, Ranveer, and Palki ma'am. Hats off to you as well. Thank you so much for coming on the Ranveer show and giving us this insight about you. Uh, I enjoy your shows. Please continue with the great job. And I really wish you, Palki ma'am and Ranveer, both of you, here to this uh, little bit of rant from my side. Thank you so much. Namaste. Vande Matram. Jai Hind.